Somebody give me a cue.
Yeah, so when it says live, then you can start talking to Facebook.
Ten seconds to live, everyone.
All right, we are live on Facebook.
Grand rising, woo rising, peace and love, woo and love. Good to see everybody entering into the space. Oh, Sister Nicole is in the building today. Brother Adam is in the space. Good to see everybody. Welcome, Facebook family. We see you. Yeah, for those who are unfamiliar with who I am, my name is Kamau Ptah. Very excited this dawning to be able to engage us and co-facilitate interactive discussion centered around ancient wisdom for the modern world. Radical rituals for healing, transforming, and expanding consciousness. So we have a nice theme to discuss today. Get yourself some water, get yourself some, tea, and bring a journal. Be able to take your notes if need be, and being able to just center ourselves and get ourselves relaxed. As you're coming in and you would like to, I invite you to place in the chat someone, an ancestral part of our community, because we know that the ancestors are a part of our community as well, to invite them into the space via the chat and welcoming them to help to support as being guidance for our journey today, and being able to offer wisdom, support, call on our blood memory, call on our bone memory, so that we're able to. Welcome, 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 everybody. Welcome to our Woo session today. Again, Kamau Ptah, your brother, showing up here today as a Woo facilitator, also an executive director, consultant, rites of passage, primary post as a husband, father, son, and in all of the various personas, hope to and intentionally look to create optimal health, healing, and transformation. Right, so welcome into the space. I see you, my sister Nicole, peace and love to you. Right, and we see who else we have in here. And then Sister Gina D, Mary Lovell, I see you shouting out Moto G Power. Yes, indeed, welcome into the space, everybody. Peace and love. We are charged today with our mission of looking at some of the ancient wisdom, the ancient modalities, some of our indigenous ancestral spirit technology as a way of being able to foster, promote optimal health, identify mission and purpose. So come on into the space. We got a nice co-facilitation that we have to construct today, that we're charged to being constructed. Shay? Right, so into the chat, we have Michelle and Nathan Gamble. We want to recognize Shay. We want to recognize today, Shamani Gibson is in the building, in the space with us today. Shay. Want to recognize Halton G. Martin III into the space today. Shay. Come on in, family. Into the space, we have Ruth, Amma, her aunt, Brother Adam's aunt, into the space, Ruth Amma, Shay. And then we definitely want to have Charles Taylor, uncle who passed away last night, and the Grand Clyde Sharp. Welcome into the space, Shay. Shay, Sister Nicole, we acknowledge your recent transition, join you in celebration, and we join you in mourning. All right, so family, let's get it started. Let's get it started in the right vibration.
Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Stay woke, stay woke, stay woke. It's time to get up. Stay woke, stay woke, stay woke. It's time to get up. We're healing, we're dealing, we're growing. Together, together, releasing. We're teaching, we're moving. Together, together, we're learning, discerning, we're striving. Together, together, we're leading, connecting, transforming. Together, together.
All right. Once again, family, woo and love, right? Woo risings, and peace to everyone who's present today. We are on a journey this dawning. We're going to be taking a journey and really looking at some of what our birthright is in this time in terms of some of the sacred traditions and modalities that are starting to resurface within our community, right? And we'll be exploring just what this idea of radical rituals for healing, transforming, and expanding consciousness, right? And we all, within our own respective ways of acknowledging, affirming, and connecting with the divine, have unique paths, and in this particular time, we're looking to turn up the value on some of the technology that will allow us to be able to identify, claim, and live with a greater sense of purpose, as well as to be able to think about what might be blocking us from actualizing our mission. What is it that we might have to take a look at in terms of some of our own trauma that has happened within our contemporary experiences in our lifespan, as well as what epigenetics tells us is that the trauma that lives in our experiences as a people, right? And so within that ritual space, once again, I welcome everybody. I welcome all of those who place ancestors in the chat who will be coming on our experience and journeying with us today. We're calling on the ancestors to think, speak, move, and operate in us, around us, and through us today as we co-create this amazing experience of looking at indigenous technology and radical rituals. All right, so here's our first task for the day. I just want you to observe your immediate surroundings. Wherever it is that you are, I just want you to kind of take a look around in the room, in the space that you're in. And I want you to identify something that is either used as a ritual or can be used as a ritual. All right, and when you get an idea of that, place that in the chat, right? Look around your immediate surroundings and I want you to identify an item or artifact that can be used for a ritual, that you have used or you could potentially use as a ritual within your ritual practice, right? So take a look around, okay? Coach Chantel says her ancestral altar, all right? So that's present with you in the space, right? So we're generating. Chantel is tapped in. Abimbola has her altar too, right? Coach Cheryl has her plants, right? Yeah, these are powerful, right? And so we're constantly generating. Sister Afua, incense, Imani, candles, and prayer rug, right? It's Denise said her candles and is within her sacred space. Crystal. So we have all the elements in the technology. This is going to be a really powerful session today. We're affirming all of those things that we make connections to that live in our conscious and subconscious reality, and those things that we're really intentional about channeling. All right. And so we see crystals, we see essential oils. Sister Sharina has her essential oils. That's right, that aromatherapy. Brother Red is in the building. All right. He's bringing the djembe, the udu drum. Okay. Oh, we definitely are in for a powerful experience today. We got Brother Adam with the water, essential oils, incense, male liquid supplements. And then the coach says she got her oil, prayer rug, and jewelry. All right. So all of the elements are here. Our ancestors are here. And we are poised to really have a meaningful, powerful journey this dawning. All right. So let's bring up our first slide, admin team. Thank you, the administrative team, for being on board today, helping to anchor and co-pilot this experience. All right. And I want to have some folk enter the space by sharing their voices and reading. So we're going to be focused a little bit on the Gara people for Burkina Faso. We want to acknowledge ancestor Maladoma Some, who's recently crossed over, entered into the realm, but has left and will continue to make a powerful contribution to our collective healing and transformation by introducing a lot of the technology that came out of the Gara people's traditions and customs. All right. And so I'd like to have someone, unmute, and first I need somebody to read the radical ritual, and then someone to read their maintenance ritual. All right. So
I'll read it.
all right, beautiful. Thank you. Who's that?
Abimbola.
Queen Mother Abimbola, pleasure to be in your presence.
Yes.
Thank you. Peace.
Okay, radical ritual. A community ritual designed for the repair of the broken or damaged human psyche. In such a ritual, the physical tension favorable for the removal of unwanted energy. Oh no, I'm sorry, I skipped the line. Repair of the body is pushed. Okay, let me start all over. Radical ritual, a community ritual designed for the repair of the broken or damaged human psyche. In such a ritual, the physical body is pushed to the extreme in order to create a situation of tension favorable for the removal of unwanted energetic debris and the restoration of a much more acceptable self.
All right. Thank you so much, Queen, for lending your voice. All right. And the second definition, maintenance ritual. Please, someone come on in and share their voice in reading that definition.
I'll do it.
Thank you, Brother Adam. Peace to you.
You're welcome. Maintenance ritual, a regular practice of acknowledging an existing connection with the other world, the world of spirit. These rituals occur frequently to ensure that the nuts and bolts of one's spirit are still intact. During the maintenance ritual, a request for the ongoing assistance of the ancestor or any spirit allies are requested. These are routine self-care protocols for the spirit.
All right. Thank you, Brother Adam. Thank you so
You're welcome.
much.
You're welcome.
Right. And we could come out of that slide now, administration, and we just continue to have the conversation. So, when you're thinking about what's coming to your mind when you think about a radical ritual, what comes to your mind in your own personal experiences where that you might have gone through something like that, or an experience that you might be getting called to participate in, right? And something that might speak to you based off of somebody else's testimony or based off of something that you read that might be calling you in that way. The great Mama Amal, come on off on mic and let's hear your beautiful voice. Grand Rising.
You know what it reminds me of, and what do you call it? The quest, vision quest.
Okay.
Vision Quest. Wow. I want to say that I've been called to do a Vision Quest, but I don't see how. No, I'm not even gonna say that. Yes, Vision Quest. I think
Okay.
that is that pushes the limit of humanity and it pushes the conversation of having faith in spirit, God, the creator, that Vision Quest. That
Yeah. So Mama Amal, just for the benefit of the community, can you share what you know as a Vision Quest?
Vision Quest is going out into the wilderness. Now, it's I believe it's an Indian tradition where young men and women go out tuned with nothing to survive for 3 to 4 days, I guess sometimes up to a week, depending on what that particular custom is. But you go out and you just survive on whatever is out there for you to survive on, for water, for sustenance. I don't believe you have a tent. You out there in the elements
Mhm.
for a certain amount of days.
Mhm. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. And so just to add to that, Bill, it's also going out there with an intention to receive a vision, a message, something that represents, aspect of you crossing a threshold and really identifying, claiming, and beginning to live a purpose-driven life, right? Everybody based off of many of these indigenous traditions, particularly the Dagara tradition, we were all born here with an assignment, a divine assignment. And then within our birthing experience in arriving here, then we, lose memory of that. And our life work is to be reminded some of the experiences that we go through, some of the calls that we hear, some of the places and spaces we find ourselves, some of the challenges, whether they're formally designed or informally, that life is presenting to us, initiates us into remembering and recalling, right? So that's essentially what we want to do. Anybody else? I see Brother Red, who is a dear brother of mine, and I know he's participated in the Vision Quest. If you're able to, because he's a father of an infant. If you're able to come and unmute and share and reflect a little bit about that experience, I know the community would greatly benefit from that. If you're able to.
Peace, peace.
Peace, Brother Red. Welcome, brother.
Grand Rising. Vision Quest. Exactly what the sister explained. We was fortunate enough to have some tents. When I did Vision Quest, it was raining consistently for 3 days straight. And I was on a mountain for 3 days with no food and no water. On the last day of my Vision Quest, we were served a particular medicine, ceremonial medicine, which was normally the hardest day for most of us. Some stood 4 days, some stood 3 days. But my Vision Quest was all around shocking, to say the least, for a city boy who's never left the city, who's never thought about being on a mountain, let alone being anywhere where there isn't any street light. But for me, it was very beautiful. And how it was explained to me was it was almost emulating the same journey that they say Jesus Christ did when he did the 30 days and 30 nights of prayer. It was very interconnected in the sense that we asked people to eat for us and having us in their mind while they ate to keep us full, which was one of the assignments that you had given people that were down in the bottom of the mountain supporting you. You also had tobacco for when you felt the need to pray, you would pray with the tobacco. And depending on the time of the day, you would have to face the direction, one of the cardinal directions, and pray to that direction. So if it was in morning, you know, you'd be facing the east, and so forth and so on. As the day progressed, you'd probably face the west, you'd probably face the south, and the north, late at the night. But Vision Quest is very beautiful in that respect, where if you're not putting nothing into it, you're not getting nothing out of it. But even if you didn't go in there with any intent, you would still get something out of it. You would still receive something that you didn't know that you needed. You know, my very first Vision Quest, I didn't know what to pray for or what my intention was, but I seen what I needed to see. I heard what I needed to hear, and I experienced what I needed to experience. So my follow-up Vision Quest was a lot more intentional. I say.
Brother Red, grateful for you being here and also sharing that very unique experience, which is definitely in alignment with what we're talking about in terms of a radical ritual. Administration, let's see what's in the chat in terms of, I see a lot of activity in the chat. When it comes to this idea of radical ritual, what people have had in their personal experience and what people have had within the testimonies of other people that they might have known, formal experiences, informal experiences. What do we have here in the chat?
I can get that for you, Kamau. In the chat, let's go back up a bit. Okay, we have Sharina Davis, who shared that the rites of passage as far as the quest. But then we have Miss J. Divine, who shared sororities, fraternities, structures, rites of passage, collectives. She has trauma therapy, church, support groups, and counselors.
Okay, all right. And then I just see a question from Sister Laura in terms of what's the difference between a Vision Quest and a rites of passage. A Vision Quest is a rite of passage. It's an initiation, right? And rites of passage sometimes gets confused when we speak about it from the standpoint of it just being the ceremonial part of the passage. The Vision Quest has a ceremonial part of it, but it also has trials. And when we're talking about rites of passage and the initiation, the Vision Quest in and of itself is an initiation. It has a person have to cross through thresholds, through some very intentional, formalized exercises that have a person look at themselves completely have them out of their comfort zone where there's no frame of reference to the experience. And then they have to meet themselves, all aspects of themselves. And then aspects of themselves also have to deteriorate so that this new insight, intelligence, mission starts to emerge from that place, right? And so that's not no different. They're right within the same frame. But when we talk about the umbrella of rites of passage, we're talking about any initiative that is designed, that presents you with challenges, that has you go deeper and identify the authentic aspects of yourself, your gifts, your purpose, the qualities and attributes. And then the ceremony itself of that transition that took place becomes the rite of passage. So I hope that clarified that a little bit more.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Any others that let's take one more share. If anybody would be interested in sharing what their radical ritual was, their radical experience or radical initiation.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right. Who's speaking?
No one's speaking at the moment, but
that was okay.
Let's call on Miss J. Divine. Miss J. Divine, you had a lot to share as far as the rituals are concerned. Would you mind sharing an experience you've had or well, pretty much share an experience you've had in regards to this or your knowledge on it, Ms. J.
Okay.
Devine.
Well, good morning. Well, based off of the definition, it is a community collective, not just an individual collective. So with just my knowledge of that, I know rites of passage, there is a transformation there as a collective with the community. And then there are rituals that are done to show that you have crossed over based off of the collective that you're a part of. Same thing with sororities and fraternity structures. You know, they bring you together as a group, and then you cross the burning sands through rituals. Trauma therapy, you do the work, and then you elevate to the next level. In church, you know, water baptism, you cross over and you're born again. Support groups like NA and AA, where they give you your chips and you elevate, you know, your levels, and you know, you do all of the you do all of the work in order to, you know, move forward. So those were just some examples that I had. Me personally, I recently culminated in Be the Tree Spirit of a Woman cohort 18 this December of 2021. And it was definitely quite an experience. There was a lot of work that we had to do in order to elevate and change, and to find our purpose and to find our brand, and to have a sense of community as well as we went through those changes. So those are my examples. I'm complete.
Right. Thank you, Ms. J. That's profound and very powerful, and it definitely contributes to the whole clarity of what this is done for and why it's done and the initiatory nature of it. It's very clear within your voice that you've had that experience, that powerful experience of being able to cross thresholds, identify. And I really value what you said about the community. You know, who are we within a purpose without a community affirmation of who it is that we are, right? And the experiences that we have gone through, and the gifts that we come here to share, right? This is all about setting the stage, and a community gives you a mirror of helping you to cultivate it, identify it, claim it, and to be able to find full expression of your gifts and how it plays out within a community context. That's extremely, extremely, extremely important. So thank you for that, Sister J. All right, so let's go to our next slide.
Kamau, before you move on, I have a
Yes.
question. Yeah,
Okay.
this is Kamau. What about, I've spoken with a couple of my friends who have gone to a retreat center where there's absolutely no talking. That from the time you hit that door till the time you leave, there's no conversation, there's no interaction. Is that is that an example of what you're talking about as well? Something that's radical that helps you go inside?
Well, I would say so, of having to cut off communication for an extended period of time, and all that is surfaced. I know that there's someone that's present who recently had that experience, and if she's willing to, Sister Nicole, share how that might relate to it being an initiation or rites of passage. You're on mute.
Okay, am I off?
Yes,
It's
you
funny
are.
because every time I unmute, it manages to mute me back. But I haven't figured out how to raise my hand, so I keep getting muted back. It's like a default in the system. Yeah, so radical rituals, there are a couple that I've participated in, and a silent retreat was one of them. It was focused on meditation, Vipassana retreat. I've also done elemental immersion with the Dagara tradition with Maladome Some, as well as plant medicine retreats. But the silent retreat with Vipassana was extremely powerful. They were all actually extremely powerful. And it was a 10-day retreat of being complete silence, no communication, non-verbally. You couldn't look at each other. There was no level of engagement at all. Basically, the only thing you were to look at was inward. We spent majority of the day in meditation and in prayer. In my perspective, it was in prayer. It was a strict vegetarian diet, and I was fortunate enough to do it with our folks. It was the first time they had a Vipassana retreat with the Black community. So that was powerful within itself, because we ourselves in our own practice bring certain rituals and certain practices into the work, even though so it was very powerful, and allowed you to really explore self and connect with spirit. I think some of the challenges in going through these rituals is, or for me, was coming back into the regular community and integrating. So my integration experience, it was just as powerful as the ritual itself. And yeah, so I don't know if that helps, but it was about 75 of us, and we had to remain in complete silence. And there are some individuals who came with their partners, which I found very interesting, because they couldn't engage with them, they couldn't talk to them. We all had separate rooms. It was a very strict and regimented schedule for us at that retreat.
Mhm. So when you think about that particular initiation and any of them, two things I'm curious to know about the call and what preceded you making a commitment to do something like that. And then you also spoke about this integration, where anybody who facilitates rites of passage knows that that's where the real work begins, right? And if there was any ideas of this whole idea of what integration and reincorporation looks like from your perspective.
Okay, yes. So the call, it's interesting. I've been called to do a lot of some different modalities for radical immersion. Let's see. Basically, I think the call for me to do the silent retreat was an opportunity to be still. You know, I don't think as a parent, a daughter, you don't get too many times where you're able to just be still and focus on self, and to concentrate a long period of time in that space. So it gave me an opportunity. Is somebody speaking? It gave me an opportunity to really go inward and focus. The first 3 days were extremely hard. You live like a monk, so you don't. The food isn't the same, and the quantity isn't the same. You don't eat after like 2 o'clock, right? So at night you have at 5 o'clock they give you a cup of tea. So the hunger itself is supposed to also is part of the rituals, part of the practice. So me going was really giving me an opportunity to be still, to refocus on and be intentional on what I wanted to examine and see, and how I wanted my ancestors to ask them for support and to help in my journey, for them to give me signs on what was truly needed in the next phase and next steps of my life. And it the first 3 days were extremely challenging. I mean, wake and sleep with nightmares and everything, the whole package. And then you came to an awareness and a different level of enlightenment that carried you through the next 7 days. And it was more of an understanding of what is truly happening physically, mentally, and spiritually. So I wasn't prepared for the integration, coming back to my family, coming back to something that was normal.
Mhm.
Correct. So you go through these 10 days, you get comfortable not saying a word. And when you come back into the family space out of a ritual, it's very important to prepare yourself and your family for that, to be integrated. Like it's you have to be as intentional going in the retreat as you are coming out of the retreat. As many rituals as I had and I've done, I wasn't prepared for that. that particular time. So my integration was a little traumatic. I wasn't ready for the noise. I wasn't ready for the conversation, the need for people to ask me questions about my experience. I still wanted to process it for myself. They don't even allow you to journal. And I'm a journaler. So when I came back, I wanted to write everything out, and I didn't have the opportunity to do that. And I had to deal with work and family, and it was traumatic. So it took me about 4 or 5 days to integrate, like to really be able to say, whew, okay, I'm back. It was traumatic. But it was so many lessons that were learned, and there were so many messages. It was so powerful. Both, it was just extremely powerful. And to maintain that meditative state and to be able to meditate among the chaos was probably the biggest challenge of all.
Mm. Thank you for that, sister. Thank you for that. I know, we've been sharing a lot of those experiences together, and that was a huge step in that direction to kind of break the momentum of the path that you were on, to be able to create a sacred time and space just for you to be able to deal with that. And I was proud because, you didn't give me a call to sneak you up some ackee and saltfish and all them things you like that.
Well, they took my phone, or else I would have called.
So no, but the very good point, and I see, sister also spoke about the time to be able to reintegrate. That is extremely important. But when you're embarking on these journeys, to think about how you are going to gradually integrate this new medicine, this new way of thinking, knowing, and being, and begin to engage, which is going to be so vast in terms of like the counter narrative of what you just experienced and what you enter back into, to be able to find some balance within that, right? Because the whole call was for you to be able to go and get some enlightenment. You have the enlightenment, and then your environment speaks to all of the things that might have represented the conditions that created the desire to find balance. And the radical idea of this is really being able to do something that you would never experience in your day-to-day. You would never experience even within your maintenance rituals in your day-to-day. All right, before we move on to the next slide, I see Miss J. Did you want to ask a question or make a
Yes,
comment? Mhm.
yes. Um, so based off of what Miss Nicole had said, wouldn't that fall under maintenance as opposed to radical rituals? Just like monasteries, whether they're Buddhist or Christian or abbeys or vows of silence, which I personally have done, don't they're introspective. Like they're about self. Like granted, you may have come together with the collective of people, but it's a personal experience. So wouldn't that fall under maintenance ritual, like prayer and meditation?
I think within your own day-to-day, but I think what makes it radical is that you've been uprooted completely away from all of the things that are norm for you, all of the things that make up your day-to-day mundane activities. And you have isolated yourself in a remote area around different people, and then without the ability to communicate. We know that there's some level of communication that's happening, but the trials that come up with not being able to engage socially with people can be very traumatic. Can be very, but to not be able to have any way of being able to do that. I see what you're saying in terms of maybe when coming back or prior to going.
That is your way of
That,
life.
I'm sorry.
I said, even if that is your way of life, like being in a monastery or being in an abbey,
Mm-hmm.
if that is your way of life, wouldn't that just be considered maintenance?
If that's your way of life, if you're in service of helping to initiate people, then that would be, and as someone who is a facilitator, there are still enlightening lessons that happen, and there's still a way to show up to community that puts you in a vulnerable space, because everybody that's being initiated that's going through the experience under your facilitation is also teaching you aspects of areas of your life that are affirmative or need some areas of growth. You know, but I would say in that case, if it's somebody who's facilitating, then that those would be some of the maintenance would represent that.
Thank you. I'm complete.
Shame. All right, so let's go to our next slide, admin. All right, and I'd like some voices. We spoke about some of these different experiences already, but just to contextualize it, can I have someone read the definition of an elemental immersion ritual as well as a plant medicine initiation?
I'll call on Gina if she's able, and Purple, if please read for us.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Grand Rising.
Rising. Okay, elemental immersion ritual, radical rites and initiations where the participant engages intimately with fire, water, earth, mineral, and nature in order to remember, reclaim, and activate the intelligences that are significant for achieving their divine purpose. The elements support with reawakening the dormant gifts, memories, attributes, and sensibilities of the participant or initiate.
All right, thank you. Thank you, sister. Right, and we have a volunteer for plant medicine.
Yes, this is Purple. Hey, everybody.
He's
Grand
perfect.
Rising. Okay. Plant medicine initiations, radical initiations that utilize sacred entheogenic sacraments that guide initiates to and through the threshold of their spirits and minds. It is a coming together in a ritual manner to honor and connect deeply with spirit, the elements, the ancestors, and the power within. The plant serves as a teacher that meets you where you are and supports.
Sorry, Purple, we lost.
Right. Yeah, we lost you a bit.
Don't know what happened. You start again from the
Plant
top.
serves.
Okay, the plant serves. That'll be great.
The plant serves as a teacher and meets you where you are and supports with providing an elevated view of your past, present, and future.
All right. Right. And so thank you so much for sharing your voices. So these are two that we're focusing on for this session. There are, as you heard, many different forms of initiation, many different ways of going through a rite or participating in a ritual. So that we have elemental immersion in plant medicine, right? And so in your experiences, have anyone ever taken part in an elemental? How are the elements used within your ritual experiences, whether that's daily maintenance or whether that is, something that you have done in a radical way? All right, so we can come out of this slide and then open up for some more shares.
Brother Kamau, I'll start us off. I have I have been blessed to have taken part in a 21-day fast, juice fast, and also 42-day, which at the end of, well, throughout, we would have weekly colonics. And at the end of it, we went to a sweat lodge and did a Native American sweat. And at the end of the sweat lodge, after we came out, and it was winter, like 32 degrees or less. And at the end of the sweat lodge, we came out and we immersed ourselves into a cold stream and then went inside. So we used fire, water, air, earth. We used all the elements in the sweat lodge experience. And this makes me think about even when I was a young child and I was as a Girl Scout, we would go on retreats into the mountains and sleep in a cabin or outside one day, and be with different people and have different tasks to do. So there's just we have that going in our life in ways that we are maybe not even aware. So this just brought me back to like, yeah, okay, the Girl Scout was also a ritual retreat.
Absolutely. No, thank you, Coach. Thank you for sharing that. So when we're thinking about our experiences, what we'll find a lot is, even whether it was something that was formal or informal, we've had this interaction with the elements. We've had this deep reflection. And one of the things that you said, Coach Cheryl, which I think is really significant to note, that all of these are have aspects of us purging, right? From the physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional, right? All of this is having us have to look at some of the things that have attachments to us. And the purging allows us to be able to give a different interpretation and a different narrative to the things that we might have a certain kind of a relationship with, right? And so anybody else, when we're thinking about some of the elemental immersion or the plant medicine experiences, right? This is some of the initiations that do a deep dive and help to excavate some of the debris and the conditions of being toxic around the conditions that surround us. So let's think about it, right? We all are aware that we've experienced a high level of post-trauma, as well as the persistent trauma that lives in the day-to-day experiences of BIPOC or people of African indigenous ancestry. We're constant under siege and overwhelmed and bombarded with that. And so these type of initiatory experiences help us to remember from a bone level, from a blood memory, some of the things that have happened in our experiences. And then we also get to address some of the patterns of our own trauma that live in our memory, as a way of being able to recognize that as an ongoing challenge and an opportunity and an invitation to respond to the trials that are, or the call to participate in trials. So because the only thing within our memory is not just the trauma, but there are healing modalities as we're also experiencing, right? So let's enter into and see in the chat if has been any comments about whether it's the participation around elemental or plant medicine that we want to talk about, and the value of those experiences.
We have, there's nothing in the chat specific to what you asked there, but we have Bro Red with his hand raised.
Okay, Brother Red, good morning, brother.
Peace. I thought we were still focusing on just the elemental part, but when you introduced the plant medicine part, it's something that I did want to touch on. I myself have practiced with grandmother medicine for quite some time. And those that don't know what I mean when I say grandmother medicine or speak about grandmother medicine, we know it as Mother Aya or ayahuasca for some, alongside with high levels of psilocybin or the magic mushroom. In my lineage, in my family, there's a lot of addiction, and I myself have gotten caught up in addiction at a very young age, just because of the exposure of it. So the taboos around certain things are very strong, especially in Black and Brown communities, especially when addiction runs in your family. So it's very easy to slip into certain things and misconstrued or abuse certain things. One of those things for me, and in most Black and Brown communities is abusing kaya or marijuana, as other people would know it. But the ayahuasca medicine, as far as my most profound journey with Mother Aya, was allowing to take me out of my body, relive my story, and then place me into my mother's body and have me relive my story through the eyes of my mother, which all of us are ourself. You know, we never really think or consider the other person. It's very hard to sometimes because we're so caught up in the mundane of maintaining ourselves. That journey was so profound that I couldn't. Normally after a ceremony, we would go into a sweat lodge, but I couldn't go into the sweat lodge. The idea of the sweat lodge is to re-enter the womb and to emerge or come out being reborn. But to experience what I experienced, reliving my life and seeing it through the bird's eye view of the watcher, and then reliving the same experience through my mother's perspective, or what I would believe is my mother's perspective, I got everything I needed. I got all the answers I needed. I understand all the trauma that came through it and all the pain that was happening. So much so that I didn't necessarily have to ask my mother certain questions around certain pain that she may be holding, whether it's subconsciously or consciously. I could just read it on her at that point. But me being me, seeking knowledge and seeking certain levels of truth, after that particular ceremony, I asked my mother about certain things, which she refused to answer, and it was totally fine. I totally get it. But that experience took me out of my body on a whole nother level. And the fact that my mother didn't want to answer certain questions that I presented to her, confirmed a lot of things for me. And I didn't take it as any kind of disrespect. It just made me understand more. Whether it was my mother losing us to the foster care system, my mother having to navigate the prison industrial system, us growing up without a father, so forth and so on. These things that are traumatic in our communities. But the fact that I asked a question in those regards, and she didn't want to answer, just confirmed a lot of those things for me. I seen a question pop up, say, is ayahuasca harmful? Ayahuasca is not harmful. There's studies, and you can look up these studies of ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is not harmful, but just like anything that you use and abuse, it becomes toxic. So the thing with mother ayahuasca is that sometimes we are given or we are seeing things more than we are prepared for, and our intention may not be right. You know, sometimes you going into a ceremony thinking you want to see colors and people want to play with this stuff. And Mother Aya or grandmother medicine has the right to take your mind sometimes. And I say it like that with so much strength, because that is not something you play with. You know, when I started, what I was saying was that we lose ourselves in addiction and playing with things, specifically with kaya or marijuana, which is very easy. But that when it comes to ancestral medicine and plant medicine that's giving you knowledge, it will give you everything and more, sometimes more than you can handle. And the problem is that you've been exposed to so much truth and knowledge that you try to be a big fish in a little pond, and then you start to suffocate, and you don't know what to do with yourself anymore. So it's not that ayahuasca is harmful, but people lose themselves because they don't know what to do with the knowledge that they just received, because it's not normal for them. This is not things that they've been taught to them, and they don't know how to make sense of it. They don't know how to sit down and be still. They don't know how to smell the air. They don't know. Most of us don't know how to breathe correctly. Most of us are mouth breathers, and not knowing that that's how we get diseases when we're supposed to be breathing through our nose. Simple mechanics like that. But ayahuasca is not harmful as far as the brain and the psychological and the body. It's what's happening when you come in to the medicine with not your full self, or not a certain level of respect that the medicine is requiring you to have, not coming with a certain level of surrender that the medicine is asking you to have. Anything that's prolonged becomes toxic, and that's been proven. But as far as ayahuasca, And you can do your own research. There's many people talking about it, or many reads that you could read about it. Even from my own experience, I've practiced with ayahuasca for quite some time, and I've used to drink it almost every other weekend because it was required for me to drink it as much because I was practicing, but I'm still here and I'm conscious enough to give you this. It gutted me out in a way that it allowed me to see all my BS, and I was able to call myself out on certain things. So after these rituals, you have to be intentional with sitting with yourself, or give yourself that time for reintegration. I should.
Shane, thank you, Brother Red. Thank you for sharing that. Definitely, one of the things that we want to take from that is the integrity of being able to participate in an initiation, really understanding what your intentions are. If we are entering into a space and we are not willing to change, right? And you're going there with a intention to see, and then you're shown certain things, and you come out of that situation and not being intentional about doing the work, whether it's creating boundaries around the lifestyle that you were once living, or whether it's seeking out to continue the momentum by keeping a good supportive network around you. All right, Mama Amal, see your hand is up, and then we're gonna.
Yes, that's interesting, because as you giving your definitions and explanations, it occurred to me, and the brother that just mentioned it, is breath work. I know it's, for me, let me put it this way. For me, doing breath work, especially the conscious connective breathing, is radical. I guess at my age, I've been breathing a certain way all the time, and doing my, hesitation when something attacks me or whatever. To be able to relax, to get into breath work, to actually breathe in as the CCB instruction gives us. It once you get into it, after about a 45 minutes into it, all of a sudden something lets go in you to where it's just a natural thing, and you're able to tap into emotions and tap into things that are holding you back, or that you're holding blame for, or that you're sorrowful about or angry about. And I think that can be classified in this conversation. See, that breath work and doing it on a basis as needed is another element to bringing us out of whatever situation that we might find ourselves, that we're doing all of this work to allay. And I'm complete. And let me have your opinion on that.
Oh, absolutely. Well, knowing that you are intentional, particularly at this phase of your own initiation, Mama Amal, around centering and focusing around breath, which is central to our lives. If we half breathe, we half live. If we're not conscientious around our breathing and breath work, no matter whether people are conscious or unconscious of it, those who are intentional and are doing it in a way that allows for the proper breathing are generally people who are doing some work on a higher level, on an extraordinary level. So the breath, and some of these experiences, particularly with plant medicine, the deep level of inhale and exhale and how the breath works, it almost gives you a frame of reference on how to breathe in these initiatory experiences. You become enlightened about some of the basic primal areas of life. And you will be in a situation where sometimes within plant medicine, songs will come through you. The way you're breathing will come through you. And these are ways for you to be able to integrate and incorporate within your life, right? It's almost like you're not breathing on your own in those situations, but you're in a situation where ancestor or guardian spirit is giving you the access to the breath so that you're able to have that as a frame of reference in terms of moving on in your life, right? And in your journey, Mama Amal, we teach what we need to learn most, and your connection to the breathing is really something essential for you. Just like this work is essential, this whole presentation and facilitation around this is very essential. I have to be able to engage it in this way. And in engaging it in this way, especially in a community dynamics, there's more medicine that is being offered for all of us, by all of us, right? In a community context. So listen, everybody, it's 8 o'clock, and I know some of us have to transition, whether that's to work, whether that's to spaces of worship and ways that we acknowledge. But I just wanted to thank you for being present here with us today, and continue to move forward in your day with many of the blessings. If you need to come back, if you're interested in continuing to review what we started in our conversation, you can see the recordings on our Facebook where it will be archived. All right, so have a blessed day, everybody. Peace and love, those who have to leave at this time. All right, much love, sister. Now, we are ready to move into our next slide. And
before we go to the next slide, Kamau, and can you acknowledge the comment in the chat from FB, from Ellen?
Okay, sure. Could somebody read that for me?
I can read it.
Sure.
Can you recommend ways to heal from, sorry, let's go back up. Can you recommend, it's the same thing. Can you recommend ways to heal from an adverse reaction, physically, emotionally, spiritually, to exposure to plant medicine by a naive user?
So if I'm understanding the question correctly, how do you get yourself centered again for someone who entered into the space who might not have come with the level of integrity or to the process? Well, I'll go from that angle. When people go through these particular experiences, for one, they should do their research before going in and get a credible someone who is, whether they're identifying themselves as a shaman or someone who is a facilitator of these particular sacred medicines, right? Prior going into really going through their own personal inventory of addressing all areas of their lives, from the affirmative and aspirational, as well as some of the taboo shadow areas that will ultimately, in many regards, be revealed during the process. If someone goes through that situation and it becomes very traumatic, then they would need to do some follow-up with someone who has experience in that world and be able to process what exactly is going on, and looking for the areas of whether there's a level of invitation to integrate that experience in a different way that allows them to continue. Understand this, everybody, like, there is medicine and there is power and there's a lot of enlightenment in the dissonant areas of our lives. And the things that create the greatest amount of discomfort are causing us, almost forcing us to have to do something with it, right? And so if there is a certain kind of dissonance that comes out of an experience, discomfort or trauma, it is really a continued invitation to continue to pursue your healing path, continue to go deeper within your own journey. And plant medicine is just one vehicle for that. There's other areas that have same power, same level of intentionality, the same benefits of a plant medicine journey that you can experience as well, and not necessarily have to consume that. A lot of times you don't show up to these experiences unless you are called. And it comes in the contextualization of the call. If you're called in a way that is haphazard, and you're called in a way that is not intentional about really going through a deep transformational experience, then as someone who's going through that's the question that you have. We don't know what we don't know until after the experience, right? And so to be able to reintegrate coming after a traumatic experience that has you still sitting in a space, is a great recommendation to do some research around the transformational people who own these disciplines, right? Right. So I hope that answers the
Bob, can
question.
I add something, Bob?
Yes, sir.
One thing that I did want to say, and not to forget, we have an incorrect verbiage for it, but there's never such thing as a bad trip. There's never such thing as a bad trip. Sometimes we go into it not knowing exactly, like Brother Kamau said. We don't know what we're getting out of it. Sometimes the medicine knows how to be gentle with you, and it make you feel really good. It make you feel really nice and calm and comforting and nurturing, and you feel the waves come up on your body, and you feel the medicine take you. And other times, it's very traumatic, and it gets very scary, and the panic sets in. And because we don't know how to breathe, oftentimes, the panic is crazy. We don't know how to keep our nerves at bay. But if your perspective of a difficult ceremony is a bad trip, then you may have missed the message. Not everything is beautiful in life. Sometimes we're going to hit those bumps. We're going to hit those things that make us uncomfortable. And that comes a part of life. And medicine work is exactly that. You're going to have very, very beautiful trips, and you're going to see the Golden Gates, and you're going to see all the beautiful flowers, and then it's going to get really dark. And then you're going to start having to look at yourself. And then you're going to start saying, wow, is that me? Is that really the things that I'm carrying? Damn, how long have I been burying this? Why have I not been looking at this? Oh, I get it. This is something I tried to forget. This is something I tried to not bring up, for our own insecurities, for our own protection, but that medicine makes you address it head on. There's no escaping it at this point. And when we are put in a position where you can't escape or you feel like your back is against the wall, is when it gets really hard. But oftentimes, the best experience come from what we deem a bad trip. And oftentimes, when we have these so-called bad trips, we go, I would never do that again. Because we failed to see the message and what was happening there. We failed to sit down and process. But I just wanted to say that specifically. There's never such thing, because not everything, like they say, not everything that shine or glitter ain't gold, right? So you have to take the good and the bad out of everything and receive it with love and gratitude. But Ashe.
Ashe. Thank you so much for that, brother. One of the things that is really important to know is that we've constructed this mask, and we carry that into sometimes some of the sacred spaces. And it's very hard for the ego to really give an interpretation of things that it has no knowledge. And these medicines take you completely out of any realm of your ego's interpretation. And that really feels like death. And when that happens, you have a visceral response to what's going on with you. And perfect example, when I first experienced and journeyed with ayahuasca, grandmother, I had this feeling that my uncle, who left this world, with the image and the interpretation of him being an addict, a heroin addict, and his presence was all in me and around me, and the ego wanted to flex and be combative with it, like, get this thing up out of me. And in that space, one of the facilitators, mentioned, and it was something that was really simple. He said that, not all lessons come in the same way. And there should be an intention around letting go of anything that no longer serves you with love and gratitude. In that affirmation, within the context of the ceremony, everything just seemed to become peaceful and was let go, and complete experience of having a different a watcher's perspective on my journey. And in that time, that's when my uncle came and gave an affirmation of, he's really a medicine man, but he didn't have access to what I was experiencing in that moment. And he was giving his blessing to protect me from any fears that I had around exploring plant medicine, that it would not necessarily look like what his sacrifice, really, his life sacrifice to even get to that particular point, what that would look like in my life, right? And he gave a vow to protect that, and he went on one knee as a way of being able to show humility and respect. I couldn't see his face, but he came to me in a way of being of deference, of being able to pay homage and respect to not me, but to this process that I was embracing, that he was giving his time and attention to, and his support of from the ancestral realm. All right, so very important note of that. So speaking of that, right, well, let's move to the next clip. And we're going to watch this scene that some of you are familiar with. So let's go to it from Black Panther.
Allow the hardship to restore the powers of the Black Panther and take you to the ancestral plane. T'Chaka, we call on you. Come here to your son. Marco. Baba, Onyana one. I'm sorry. Stand up. You are a king. Into nekukhathazayo nyana. Andiqonde indirede baba. Ubomi bakho bonke buhlala uzilungiselela ukuba yikumkani. Ndikufundisa, ndikuqeqesha. Uhleli apha ecaleni kwam. That is not what I am talking about. I am not ready to be without you. A man who has not prepared his children for his own death has failed as a father. Have I ever failed you? Never. Tell me how to best protect Wakanda. I want to be a great king, Baba. Just like you. You're going to struggle. So you'll need to surround yourself with people you trust. You're a good man, with a good heart. And it's hard for a good man to be king. T'Challa. Breathe. Breathe. He was there. He was there. My father.
Okay, okay. Very powerful scene. What do we see? What are we wondering? What's coming up for us as we think about the integration? So we saw two of what we're talking about, right? We saw plant medicine and elemental being facilitated for this particular journey. What's certain terms of things that's coming up for you as you're thinking about these radical rituals? What's surfacing for you and reflection of that particular clip, whether personal familiar experiences based off of engaging in this way, or the possibilities that might be present to you. All right, Sister Catherine, and then Sister Teresa, I see.
Peace and blessings. My throat is, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Kamau, you're
Okay.
muted.
Yes, I'm sorry. Loud and clear, sister. We can hear you.
Right, don't worry about if you can hear me and I can't hear you. So peace and blessings. Oh wow, that was good. That was good. So what I want to throw out in the community, and also so for boomerang back to me, is that when I think of rituals and how intense that scene was, I think in my head that I believe that it has to be that type of intensity to get to where I need to be my divine, powerful self. So I like to think that I have the courage that it takes. I know I have a desire to go deeper inside of myself. And I'm looking forward to a time when I am exposed to something like that, where it will awakening the great strength that's inside of me that the ancestors have left for me. So that's what I think about when I look at that scene, is that courage. I know for me, courage is important. I know I have some, and I know that from what I've been through. So I think that there is an opportunity for me sometime in the near future for me to tap into that place where peace exists in the face of chaos. Wow, I just got excited. So yeah, that's what I wanted to throw out to the community. I would love to live a life where peace and confidence is so present in the midst of chaos. With that, I am complete.
Thank you, Sister Catherine. You know, the only way to really demonstrate courage is to confront the fear that shows up. And, you know, again, these are our tools. These are our ways of knowing and being that tap into intelligences that this world needs at this time. And it's our birthright. And there are so many people outside of our culture who are gaining access to these experiences, you know, and then when we have an opportunity to be able to tap in, it opens up worlds of possibilities of things that we never knew existed, that are paths, life paths, that we have no idea that even existed in the world that we've navigated and world that we've grown up in, right? And so Elder Malidoma spoke a lot about what he called spiritual militancy, right? Being able to push the envelope, being able to cross through the boundaries, being able to go through things that are creating blockages for us to really execute and live according to the divine design of our lives. And these are the experiences that are being presented in this time for us to be able to tap in. And it's not too late. It's not too late for anybody who's within the world of being an elder and identified as an elder. these particular rituals and indigenous modalities are present for us. Sister Teresa, see your hand.
Yes, good morning, peace and blessing. I have to be honest with you, I was asleep some and I didn't see the first part, but what I remember distinctly about the movie is when he was confronting the father about him hurting the like getting rid of his cousin and like killing him. And I just feel like since being part of the Wu and different things that have transferred from being like dealing with Christian, like even like dealing with Christian stuff, I just feel like I'm at that place where some of the things that I was taught in church and it has hindered me because they only exposed me to one way of learning. And so, and I didn't, I knew there was something different, but I didn't have the confidence in myself, to step out and just, walk in it. And so being part of Wu and Wake Up and just other, people that I've been exposed to in the last 2 years have, I feel like I'm going through what, the Wakanda, what's his name? What's the young man?
Talking about T'Challa?
Yeah, T'Challa. I feel like I'm T'Challa sometimes because I feel like I've changed so much and the way I think is like different. And I do, like I just been tapping in, to me and the truth about things. And so I feel like there's a place of healing that has taken place in me that have never taken place in me. And so I'm embracing these things and I feel like it's a beautiful thing. And I just feel like because I have had a limited amount of things. I was just talking to my nephew about 2 hours and, we was just talking about different things, we was talking about the scriptures and stuff. And it was just a beautiful conversation because he feels the same way that I feel. And it's just, he said that, they just make stuff so hard in church and they just teach you so much control stuff that has nothing to do with, spiritual things. And so just being part of the Woo has changed my life. And I love like this kind of stuff like this because I just feel like it just lets us know like the gifts that we have, like we are so powerful and how we could tap in and the gifts that we bring to the world. And once we start tapping into ourselves, into spiritual knowledge, like this kind of knowledge and just other spiritual knowledge that we might have not experienced, you could learn a lot about yourself. It's like I learned stuff about my womanhood that I never knew, like when Kenyofa was talking about the Rites, just different things that I've learned that I've always been feeling like an oddball, but I never, and now I embrace my artness. I love it. I love that I'm art. I love that I'm not like everybody. I love that I'm a unique gift to this world and I feel good about that. And so, I could just go on because I'm just excited, where I've tapped into and I don't regret it. And I don't care what nobody else think about it because it's good for me and I'm being healed. And I just feel that once you tap into that place, like you can't go back, like what's Malcolm X says by any means necessary. By any means necessary, I'm going to get to where I have to go. And so whoever that the spirit wants to send to my life to help me, to assist me, I'm open for it. It's like I don't want to be in that dark space where I was where, I'm scared or, I'm not ready. Like I'm in school now and I was having challenges with the work and I was screaming. I was like, this is just too much for the work. I was screaming. I was crying. Yesterday, I lost all my work that I had done, and I was crying. And then I was like, "Okay, Teresa, get the little cry out, get back to doing the work." So
That's it, sister.
I just did the work. So it's like I'm just doing it, and it's like I'm not used to doing this, but that don't mean I can't do it. I'm not used to living this life, but that does not mean that I cannot live it. I'm not used to this enlightenment, but that does not mean that that's not what's for me. And so it doesn't matter what I think or how I feel or whatever who's surrounding me that affects what this process that I'm walking in. I'm walking in it, by any means necessary, and it is challenging because I've never lived it. And I'm complete because I keep on going.
No, thank you. Thank you so much, Sister Teresa. Like what you talked about is crossing the threshold. And after you have some experiences that are transformational, there is a tendency to try to want to go back into the normalcy of how you once thought and behaved. Yet at the same time, there's a greater call, you know, to move forward and to explore the unknown and to be able to think the unthinkable, right? And so a lot of times in this plant work, my very first experience, I was like, nah, that was extremely profound. It was scary. It was exhilarating. It was awesome and frightening. And I told myself, I'll never do that again, right? But then it's like reading a book or having to be exposed to something greater. What do you go back to after having tapped in to some of the things that are so grand and great and beyond your comprehension, that were so enlightening? That what is there to really go back to, and what more is there to continue to unfold and unravel through us based off of that? All right, so thank you again, Sister Mama Amal. Let's hear from you, and then we'll move forward.
So yeah.
Thank you, Mama.
So yeah, the clip reminded me of how we can go back to our ancestry for strength, for confirmation, and it's similar with the Lion King when Simba looked into the water and saw his father, and he told him, you've got to go back. You know who you are, reminding you who you are. It also reminded me of a dream that I had. It was either a dream, a vision, or in meditation. I don't remember. It wasn't meditation. It was something deeper than that. But I saw myself in the woods, or it wasn't wilderness, so to speak, but in the woods. And there was an old log cabin, and inside the cabin, all of these women in white, they were preparing food. And as I walked out of the cabin, there were more women, and then we all sat down, and I was nestled between the legs of my mother. My daughters were nestled in my legs, and as each woman was nestled in, sitting down like a train in the next woman's. I hope you understand what I'm saying. But what I got from that was the strength, the commitment that each one of my generation, each one of my ancestors had to support us, and I feel my mother strengthening me at all times. So that I just wanted to share that. And I just wanted to share that.
Thank you so much, Mama Amal, for that share. Thank you. So family, we're close to 8:30. We're clearly looking like we're gonna move a little bit over time. I wanna show maybe one more clip, and I definitely, at this time, administration, I wanna break out into our breakout room. I think that we have enough context around the conversation and where we are at the flow right now to go in and have some more deeper dive conversations centered around where this conversation, what it's doing, what is surfacing, what are some of the things that might be triggering. All right. And so, yes.
Before we air the clip and go further, can you just give the community an idea of how much time we'll need to continue, just so those who are needing to leave can get a fuller understanding of how much longer we'll go? We have time. We are here for you, but we just want to give everyone a heads up.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Coach Cheryl. Let's go for, are we good with another 25 minutes? Everybody would be able to hang around for another 25. I'm still getting accustomed to the time frame, but 25 minutes work for everybody?
We got you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. All right, so we would like to go to the breakout session this time and respond to the question, how does the idea of participating in a radical ritual align or disconnect with your personal values, beliefs, and practices? And then the second part of that is, are there any tensions or triggers that you feel surfacing during this session? And in this moment, are you hearing a call to a radical ritual? Why or why not? right? And so those would be the questions and they will be placed in the chat. And then we're going to break out into our rooms, and we'll be in there for 10 minutes. All right,
We're
so
gonna open them now.
okay, great.
Okay, in Kamau, while everyone is going to breakout rooms, there'll be a few of us left here in the main room. And it looked like people are still going.
Yeah, I had my other phone was dying, so I had to cut that phone off. Someone it will put me in a breakout room, but my other phone died, so I came on another phone. So I don't know if they're gonna put me back in a breakout room.
Okay, Timmy.
Sent you to a new. I just sent you to a new room, Teresa.
So Kamau has to join us in the main room. And we can I'll drop the questions in the chat so it can be copied.
I believe, Kamau, you're back with us now. I just admitted.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm back in. Sorry about that, y'all. Some
No
technical difficulties.
No problem. So let's jump into the question. As we were going through the process, and his brother Red shared his testimony of the experience. In regards to your question, I wanted to say that it really got my attention. You know, talking about the trip, and there's no bad trip, and then what the plant knows to do for you. And even as you tied in with the scene from Black Panther, it really brought to me a clear understanding of the term ritual and radical ritual, and what these things are, and the concerns and the fear and the propaganda around them from mainstream, from what I was exposed to. I did not start smoking marijuana until I was 26, yes, 26 or 27. But I thought about mushrooms and stuff like that, and it always scared me to do anything like that. But considering the purple flower and the testimonies I've heard, I'm like, wow, I can really see myself going into this, because the values and the benefits of it is, you know, tying in me being more aligned with my purpose and getting those messages from the ancestors that may be necessary to fully embrace and fulfill my purpose for being here in this lifetime. I've been really thinking about that, getting out of my way, and fully embracing that. And I see participating in a ritual, a radical ritual, is one of the ways to fully align with that. And I'm loving this. It really caught my interest this morning.
Shay, thank you for that share, Brother John. And one of the things about this particular work is, you know, using sacraments, plant medicine, or elemental immersion. They're very personal. They give you the direct revelation around the insight of your narrative from the contract that you've made for being here and your assignment here. And so that's really a significant part of what this work is really about, which sometimes for folk who might have had their socialization and experiences within the context of religion, may be looking for some kind of an external. And it doesn't have to be an either or situation, right? There's people, but if you are looking for direct downloads in terms of your own, what the plant teachers teach you, and the medicine meeting you exactly where you are, and being able to provide messaging, clarity, tools, instructions, directions, opportunities to purge, opportunities to learn different healing modalities and ways of knowing and thinking and being that will service you and yours. That's where the benefits of some of this type of work comes in, right? So where are we in terms of just, is this a group or other people in groups or?
Brother Kamau, we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, 5, 6 people remaining in this room, and as well as the
Okay.
Facebook. We'll work your questions with the 5 or 6 people working in the room, and maybe we can get a response from one of them. We call on Dr. LaShawn Stitt, if you're available to come off mute and ask and answer some of the questions.
Right. Shawnee Sean, Dr. Stitt, AKA El Boogie. Let's hear your voice. Are you able to participate?
And if not, we can try Cheryl. Okay.
All right.
We still have Veronica, Modo G, and E. Marie. So anyone who is able to come.
I have a question. This is Veronica. Is there a sort of hierarchy? Like, so yes, you meditate and then you've done the vision quest, and is the grandmother medicine a progression? Is that the next step? Or do you just, or can a person do all of the above, all of it, and skip the grandmother medicine and still get the downloads? And are there other ways to get, get
Right.
that significant download?
Yeah, there are multiple ways. In some people's experience, even with their maintenance rituals that they receive downloads, a lot of times within the radical, you are completely removed, again, radically removed from and uprooted from the ways of knowing and being, whether that's otherworldly experiences with different dimensions. Sometimes that might even be different entities that are non-human, or direct connection with your ancestors in a way that is formalized and designed, where other people are also going through their own experiences. So that's what that offers. Plant medicine is one way. Elemental immersion is another way in a ritual context. Being participated, and for me, both have the same power in terms of information that comes through. So I can participate in a water ritual and still feel the impact and the effect that I would if I had a plant medicine experience. So it's not that one, it's really about hearing a call and what you're being called to, being able to see what's resonating in you as we're having these conversations around the need for you personally. Even if it's something that's saying like, wow, that sounds scary or fearful, there's an aspect in your spirit that will continue to allow you to show up, listen, and be present to the possibilities if it's really a part of your journey. This call, it's not for everybody. And that's not what this whole discussion was about, was to, try to get people. This is information around some indigenous sacred technology that oftentimes we don't have access to, even though it comes and emanates from our indigenous lands. There are systematic racism creates boundaries and access for even us to have this experience. So being in our birthright and being in a part of our traditions prior to enslavement and colonization, this can afford us so much in terms of helping us in the times that we're living in. So I hope that gave some context for you. Right.
Yes, thank you.
So anybody else? All right. So with that, Coach, I think we should go maybe and look a little bit at that final clip and then we'll do a final wrap up around it. I see Moto.
Let's wait until everyone comes back into the space before we do the clip.
Okay.
There's minutes left in the breakout rooms.
Okay,
And
beautiful.
what I was going to share for myself was that as an adherent of Islam, the radical rituals that, two of the radical rituals that we observe are the Hajj pilgrimage, which takes you apart and away from the rest of the world and brings you to a place where everyone is focused on the same thing at the same time. And it's a lengthy pilgrimage. Also the annual fasting for Ramadan, which is a dry fast from sunrise to sunset, water or any, and it's all very much like you said about purification, purifying in order to clear out so that space for spirit is there and that you can receive your special downloads and your special information from the Most High of what it is that you are to do moving forward with a particular task or your life's purpose. And if each of us look, we'll find that somewhere within our life, we have already participated in a radical ritual and gotten us from point A to point B. So it's always, I love this conversation because it makes me very reflective. And as everyone has been so rich with their shares, it's very evocative, evoking memories and pictures and images and thoughts and transformation. So I think there's a very, very wonderful thing to reflect on and to examine where we've done our radical rituals, or to look and put in place a radical ritual for going forward in the future.
Ashe, thank you for that, Coach Cheryl. So I see that we're all back in the space. We've come out of our groups, and just let's take some reflection on the questions and the predominant ideas and thoughts that came from your group, centered around what's surfacing around your personal participation within the radical ritual. Where are the tensions that may lie, and are you hearing a call for a radical ritual? So we explored two today. We explored plant medicine, we explored elemental immersion, but there are multiples. Coach Cheryl just talked about fasting. We've heard the Vision Quest example. The idea of just being completely removed and taking out of your comfort zone, where those things that exist in your experience are not normed, in order for you to be able to cultivate a non-egoic impression and potentially a watcher's perspective on your own journey, and then make some choices and decisions around the narrative and the played out mantra that might be living in your head around your interpretation of the whys of what you do, the stories that you tell yourself around your limitations, and what some of your pain memory might mean to you. It plays itself out in this story. These opportunities give you a greater interpretation or a greater perspective of maybe what your interpretation and your mantra is saying is not true, right? So let's hear from you. Anybody have any questions or comments that are regarding the reflective question?
So Ms. J has her hand raised. I'd also like to pick out some of these wonderful new names that I see in here. We have lots of new folks in the space. So I would like to hear from Brother Keith Bernard after that, and perhaps Shanita. So Jay Divine, you can lead us off.
Good morning again. So we were discussing in our group, because we're all from Be the Tree. Gina and I are actually cluster sisters. And Wendy is also, oops, nope. I look a mess. Please don't make me take my camera off. We were discussing our experiences and like what we were open to and not open to. And personally speaking, I was nervous about any kind of plant medicine until it was prescribed by my doctor for my anxiety. And now having the experiences that I've had, I do smoke medicinally as well as spiritually because I've had spiritual experiences on it. My apprehension to it was because my mom was an addict and she is a recovering addict from narcotics. However, in this season of her life, you know, in her ministry, she she uses her journey and her story to help others. But she too was also diagnosed with anxiety, CPTSD, depression, and it was prescribed for her to medicinally smoke marijuana, which is not the narcotic of her initial choice when she was addicted. But through exploration and through research and through guided medicinal use and guided spiritual use, I'm definitely open to exploring that, um, exploring more plant-based, you know, more plant medicine. I just have to discuss it with a professional because I'm going to have surgery soon and I don't know how it's going to affect me after. But I had an experience that I shared with them in the breakout room where I didn't really want people to know that I do smoke medicinally and spiritually because for so long I just didn't. I guess the first time I smoked was in high school and it didn't really fare out for me, so I just didn't smoke. So when I was prescribed on my doctor that I should, I was so shocked. I had this Russian Polish lady telling me, hey, darling, you're so stressed. Take a chill pills, smoke a blunt, you'll be fine. And I was like, wait, what? So to have my medical professional tell me that I needed to smoke, I was like, whoa. So I did, and it worked out well for me. It's not something that I do like every day or every other day. Sometimes it's once a week, you know, sometimes it's once every other week. As it stands right now, because I'm in preparation for surgery. I haven't smoked in 13 weeks and I'm going a little nutso, but nothing crazy. Um, but my initial experience that I shared with them was I didn't want people to know. And then when some people started to find out, like my sister, who is an avid smoker, my brother, who's also a new smoker, I'm the oldest. I was like, don't tell mom. And of course, what does my little brother do? He tells mom. So my mom, I was visiting North Carolina where they live, and we're packing up to go. And my mom was like, hey, come to the car real quick, come to the car real quick. And I was just like, what's up? She's like, I want to give you something, but I don't want to give it to you in front of everybody else. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen Alice in Wonderland, where the caterpillar tells Alice, one side of the mushroom will make you grow smaller and the other side will make you grow taller. And she kind of did something like that with me, where she handed me a Ziploc bag with 2 pre-rolled blunts. And she says, this is lemon OG Kush, and this one will help you sleep because I know you have trouble sleeping. And then this one is White Widow, and it'll help mellow you out. Now this one is going to give you dry mouth, and this one you can't pair with alcohol. Don't drink wine, don't drink tequila, don't drink anything. But she put them both in the same bag. They look exactly the same. I'm a novice smoker. And I was just like, oh my God. So me not thinking anything of it, I left them both in the bag. I brought them back to New York. And a month later, I was just like, okay, I have a moment to myself. I can't sleep. I've been drinking. I don't feel drunk because I have very, very high tolerance. Don't judge my life. And I was just like, you know what? I'm kid free. I need to meditate. It's a beautiful summer day. And I picked one of the blunts and I was just like, okay, well, she said lemon OG Kush and I smelt it. They both smell like lemon OG Kush. So now I'm jacked up. So I was just like, okay, well, we're gonna take a bite of the mushroom and see if we grow smaller or taller. And yeah, it wasn't lemon OG Kush. It was the White Widow. And I had my own ancestral plane experience because I had been drinking. Don't judge me. And I had a really introspective conversation with myself. Like I put my head down and I was in the same place that T'Challa was in, but instead of speaking to, ancestors, I was speaking to myself and having conversations with myself about what was going on in my surroundings. And it was very, very interesting. It wasn't a bad trip. I don't want to say it wasn't a good trip, but it was very introspective. And I was just like, I want to do that again and dive deeper and more consciously, because that one happened on accident. So for me, and I know that I gave you a whole big old story, but it was kind of funny when it happened. Because of that experience, I was just like, I'm not mad at it. I'm willing to try again and see what happens consciously, because that happened on accident, but consciously I'm definitely open to it. Without fear of addiction, without fear of going crazy. As long as I am with someone who is knowledgeable and I am monitored and guided by someone who is experienced, I'm definitely open to it. I'm complete.
Ashe, Ashe. Sister, thank you so much. You know, there are no accidents in the divine scheme of life, right? So the lessons that come through. I'm clear, and I get that because I've had some experiences that where I would think would be considered to be accidental as well. But I think that, you know, the information and the lesson is where it really goes. I would recommend that using sacraments, whether that's for therapeutic under the administration and the guidance of a doctor, outside of that, within the spiritual, and we didn't really speak about the levels, having a radical ritual, really having a facilitator, not doing that by yourself, not doing that outside of the context of a ceremony, which will has the ambiance of an intention around healing and transformation, or and having people who are skilled of being able to see your spirit of where it is currently and where it desires to go, and helping to facilitate moving some of the blockages by some of the songs, some of the music that is also medicinal, some of the fragrances or the sage that's in the room. All of that serves in creating the container and the context for your full transformation and for the insights and the lessons to take place. Outside of that, then that's when it seems to be very, very trippy, when you don't have those other experiences. And that's where the fear factor really increases and accelerates at a high level. All right. Anything else in the chat, or do I see any other hands, administration?
So I did ask Brother Keith Bernard to share and Sister Shanita, but in the interest of time, if they could hold their shares till after the video, and then we'll come back and get their shares and begin to wrap. Does that work, Kamau?
That works. That works. And thank you all for hanging in there and sticking it out. I apologize for going so far over. Brother
This
Keith.
is good, brother.
You're on mute.
Did we want to do the video first, Brother Kamau, or did you want to have them share first?
Let's do the video. Let's do the video. All right, so just brief context to this particular video. My first call to the medicine was my god brother came and watched me facilitate professional development. He said, you have the constitution within you that allows for community healing. In order for you to be able to advance yourself, there is an opportunities that are happening with plant medicine work. So I had an experience with him, and then, like I said before, I didn't want another experience, but the medicine called me again. The second time the medicine called me, I reached out to this brother who was in California, and I shared the context of the work that I was doing, particularly with rites of passage, particularly with boys and young men. After hearing this interview, which looks at the possibilities of plant medicine healing post-traumatic slave syndrome, which I see is largely a part of my divine work. So let's continue. Thank you.
You've worked with people who, from these communities, who've taken ayahuasca and had their lives transformed. Can you explain some of those ways?
Well, I'll just use my own as an example, and relating this to the African-American community. I did an ayahuasca monologue. They're actually called the ayahuasca monologues, and they're on YouTube. And in mine, I shared this experience I had. I was invited to do a ceremony. It was all men, and I was very intrigued by that. And during this ceremony, I'm condensing the story dramatically. At some point, I'm in ceremony, and I become aware that there's a man standing next to me, which is no big deal. But at some point, I kind of like, I'm singing the songs, and the ayahuasca thing is very beautiful, and having this experience of like, oh, my brotherhood, I'm here with all the guys, And then I start realizing, like, wait, everybody that is participating in this ceremony is accounted for. Like, who's this person standing next to me? And I look over, and lo and behold, it's my father who had died 5 years earlier.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, and as vividly standing next to me as I'm, you sitting in front of me. And talk about, I'm tripping, that's what I'm thinking, But so this vision, I'll call it, of my father says to me, oh, I'm glad I have your attention. Let's go take a walk. So, of course, in the ceremony, you're not allowed to leave. So I asked permission from the leader. I said, hey, my father's here. Where else are you going to say to somebody, my dad's here, he passed away? And they go, oh, cool.
Only in an ayahuasca ceremony
Exactly,
would they
right?
understand that. It is a common
It is very
theme that
common.
people are visited by loved
Exactly,
ones
yeah.
who've passed away.
Yeah, and so long story short, he says, yes, as long as you stay within visual range, we need to see you. So I go journeying with my father. And in that experience, basically, through this conversation, what happens in the condensed version is that my father, his father, and my mother's father all appear to me. And they basically say, we brought you here because we want to apologize for the abuse that you suffered growing up. And my family, it's a very interesting and dicey topic to always get into with the African American culture, is the form of discipline, which is like spanking or beating or whipping, whatever they call it, is really commonplace. And so much so that growing up, that was normal. And I assumed like, well, this is just the way kids are raised, And as I kind of grew up and started meeting other kids in school, I was actually shocked to find out that I was meeting like really good friends who were awesome, who told me like, what, you're kidding? My father's never hit me. I'm like, no. Like, how did you turn out okay? So I'm like reflecting on that, thinking, God, it's really strange, So in this experience, suddenly, as they're saying this, I am transported back. It was like that near-death experience that people talk about at the end of life, where I'm suddenly replaying my life. And I'm watching all of these experiences of me being, doing simple things like dropping a glass and breaking it. And then my father or grandfather's response would be to come with a belt, and beep, 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 beep. And it just seemed like, well, that's what you do. So as I'm watching all of that, I'm realizing what an effect that had on me and how that actually wasn't okay for a little very sensitive, 5 or 6-year-old. And that vision turned into me seeing them being beaten by their fathers and their fathers and their fathers. All the way back, this vision goes to me watching slaves in Africa running through grasses being chased by either their own people or Europeans coming to bring slaves to America. And then it clicked. I'm like, oh my gosh. And all these ancestors, my father and their fathers, in that moment, they're saying, yes, like this is something we inherited it. We don't know any other way, and we apologize because we realize, the reason it was passed down to you is because it was passed down to us. And this trauma within our community goes all the way back to slavery. There's no way around it, And in that moment, it was such a huge release of pent up both anger, frustration, all the pain and suffering that was caused from that. And as you mentioned, earlier, there was this sense of liberation. And it may seem simple, but in reality, what happened in that moment was I realized I feel like I'm standing in my own skin and my own body and consciousness for the first time in my life. I was like liberated, right?
Wow.
So much so that it felt like, I don't even know who this person is without that story, running in the background. So it was a tremendous help to me, and other things happen related to that are in this monologue. But that was the basis of it. So what I started seeing was like, wow, the African American community particularly is so anti-drug, and appropriately so because of how it's destroyed the community. But they're literally talking about drugs that were, as we know, kind of introduced into that community by now there's research, that proves it was by the CIA at some point. So they have this really interesting relationship with drugs because so many African American men are in prison from drug-related causes, either selling it or using it. So there's this whole stigma now that I feel like something like ayahuasca, which could be incredibly beneficial for my community, has such a stigma on it, that they wouldn't even go near it. But I feel like, I'll be the poster child, and a lot of other amazing African American people I know that now use ayahuasca are reporting the same thing, like, wow, this could so liberate and benefit our community in our culture. Yeah.
Because I feel too, out of any culture in the US, I mean, just with the history of slavery and just constant oppression, there has to be so much trauma
There has
just
to be.
built into the DNA.
Yeah, there has to be. And from the inside out, actually being raised in that community and being an African American, it's difficult to bring up these subjects. Like, I believe her name is Dr. Joyce O'Leary. She started touring around doing this lecture series that was basically called post-traumatic slave syndrome. That was really rejected early on, not only by established, I know the psychiatric community, because to call it a syndrome, it has to be approved as one, but also within the African American community, because what she was basically saying was the reason we are the way we are is because we're all descendants of slaves. And we are the result of a culture that was extremely traumatized. And she goes on in the section to explain all the reasons why. And I was gripped by that because I knew what she was saying was basically true. Maybe not all the details of it, but the overall essence of it was true because I lived it in my own experience, Yeah, so for
Hey, family. So in wrapping up, this was one of the initial charges when it related to plant medicine initiation that focused around my life work of wanting to address post-trauma, wanting to really look at some indigenous practices that would help to create a counter narrative. So in closing, I would like to get maybe 2 shares, and then we're going to wrap up for the day. Truly grateful for everybody's contribution to the co-creation today. So did Brother Keith, did you want to share?
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Peace to everyone. I didn't really have a share, but I was just interested in the ayahuasca discussion that you had. I came on late, and what happened is that I'd always had intentions of trying ayahuasca, but I didn't want to go to Peru or any of those places, just for the experience. So I was just looking into, I heard a lot of, discussions about ayahuasca in the past. And although I actually don't deal with the herbs and stuff so much in terms of going into the psychedelics and, getting all these vivid experiences, I kind of like the narrative around ayahuasca. So I tell myself, I think I should try it. Although I did certain things in the past that I don't do anymore for many years. So I just like the topic that you brought up this morning and think I'm a little bit interested, just for meager experience, because it seems as though it could be addictive.
Addictive, I'm not sure about that, right? Some of
Okay.
these experiences are very liberating. Now, if you have a quality that's inside of you that yearns for a certain level of comfort and grounding, then that becomes that. But I've never heard anybody really becoming addicted to ayahuasca because it's very unpredictable in terms of where it will take you. And some of those places are very frightening, and most people don't like to experience that level of fear and that level of trauma in their lives on a regular basis, right? There's a roller coaster, and then there's an etherical roller coaster. We know the roller coaster that we're comfortable with and might take some risks going on that adventure. But a roller coaster that happens on a different planet might create with different beings might create a little bit more fear in wanting to explore that again, right? So yeah, so I don't know if the level of addiction would be for that particular, unless you just have an appetite that's very just hungry and is in need all of the time to be fed by something. But usually the medicine will help you to address that.
Okay.
Right. So, thank you for your share. Thank you for your share. All right. We'll take one.
The Shanita, if you would share as well.
Good morning, everyone. I am new to the Wake Up Everyone Zoom call. I was invited by Gina. So this is actually my second time. And I basically was just a listener. The young lady that I was in the group with, we were both kind of new. So I don't have a lot of information to share based on what was spoken about today, with the exception of I had never heard of the ayahuasca or anything like that, but just recently I have been watching a program called Yellowstone, which is like modern day Western cowboy and Indians living on reservations. And one of the cowboys is married to an Indian woman, and he did, I guess, like a vision quest, where he was taken to a specific place, and he was there for, you know, a number of days without food or without water or anything like that. And I don't know if he started to see people from his past, like his, you know, brother who had passed on, and it appeared as though it was a hallucination. However, you know, for him, you know, it was real, and he was taken there to see visions. And I can't say that that's something that I would be interested in at this point, because it does scare me. To, you know, it is a little frightening to me. And even I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, the ayahuasca, you know, taking certain type of medicinal or plant-based herbs or whatever to, you know, go into another realm. I would just have to seek more information. Like, I'm a person who's never, you know, like smoked anything before or have taken anything. So I'm just not sure where that would, if that's something that I'm interested in doing to see like visions or anything like that. So I would have to, you know, get more information on it and, you know, seek you know, more guidance on it. But I am enjoying, you know, this is my second time, like I said, I am enjoying the Wake Up Everyone. I had a little difficulty today, like I kept getting disconnected several times, so I missed, you know, a lot of what was spoken of. But you know, I do plan on you know, continuing to listen in, and hopefully I'll be able to add more you know, conversation in the future.
Well, thank you so much for your presence here today, and that was a great contribution. You know, there's a lot of wonderings just in the world of even people who attend on a regular basis, and we have so much innovative and rich discussion that happens quite a bit that are entry level for many people as well. So again, we thank you for being here. And you know, one of the things that I'm hearing is that, you know, ayahuasca is big, it's becoming popular, it's notarized throughout the globe. But there are other plant medicine experiences that are also a part of opportunities that, and each medicine will meet you where you are. So I can't even describe, but I know that there are other medicines that are centered and focused in ways that are more gentle, that offer and guidance and direction in a much more loving teaching fashion and style. That they are nurturing and they provide the same, you can take a look at the shadows without having to be dragged in the ego death being so drive-by drastic and traumatic, right? You know, so there are some other things that part two of the conversation that we'll have, we'll explore, because it looks like there's been some high level of interest and levels to want to engage a little bit more. So looking forward to returning. So we're going to close out now. I thank everybody for your participation today. I thank you for lending your voices and sharing your voices. I thank the ancestors who live in you, move through you, and operate as you. One of the things about all of these things, we are the medicine and we are our ancestors. So somebody's talked about having a conversation with themselves. That is a conversation with the blood that lives inside of you, your DNA, your bones, your whole structure, because we are just living flesh representation of our ancestors, right? And we are the medicine because we are made of the elements, right? And so we'll go and looking forward to moving deeper. As always, I would like for us to, you know, close out with a mantra that I've grown near and dear with. So if everybody can repeat after me: sharpen your eyes, tune your ears, so you know what you see,
so you know what you see,
overstand what you hear,
understand what you hear,
minute by minute,
minute by minute,
hour by hour,
hour by hour,
as we know our story,
as we know our story,
we know our power.
we know our power.
Okay, family, thank you so much.
Shay.
Ashe.
Mal, you're muted.
All right, I think we're ready to move, right? Okay, so for today, family, my special offer for those who participated, the first two people who email me will receive a 30-minute consultation centered on identifying where they are in their rites of passage journey or helping to design an initiatory rites of passage for their family or community members. So whether you want to kind of check in and see where you are in the rites of passage, initiatory stages of your formal and informal experiences, then we can have some conversations on what rituals or initiations, where life is calling you right now, what rituals might need to be in play for you to move to your next level. And if you're interested in more for family or organizationally speaking, then we can do that from the standpoint of design for a family member or your community. Okay, next slide. And my information, aquabin41@gmail.com. All right, here's my contact. You can meet me on Facebook, Kamau Ptah, Twitter @jimbay69, and my email again, aquabin41@gmail.com. Okay, and we'd be grateful for any of the love offerings and donations that you might have for our powerful administrative team. This work is something that involves a lot of behind the scene work and a lot of organization and planning. So if you feel it in your heart to provide some type of a love offering or donation, you can Zelle or Quick Pay at soulleadershipdevelopment@gmail.com or Cash App $Spirit of a Woman. And the code is number 511 KP. All right, that's for love offerings and donations. There's a brother who's in the street one time told me, he said, the richest donation in the world is donation, right? And the most powerful city and richest city is generosity. All right, so join us tomorrow, January 31st, bright and early, 7 o'clock, community advancement through tapping, right? That's presented by powerful facilitator, Sahusi Kokai, and that is tomorrow at 7 a.m. And then on Tuesday, February 1st, new moon and new month, making the numbers and magic work for you. Marines Rodriguez, right? And that is our presentations for Monday and Tuesday, right?
Brother Kamau, I'll take it from here. And good morning again, Wu family. I've noticed that we do have some newbies, some new members here within the community. And I'm going to ask you to share within the chat. If you're here in Zoom, if you're on Facebook, just share with us, let the community know that you're here to gain the knowledge. You're here to elevate, learn, elevate, and ascend. So just share in the chat that you're new. If it's your first day, your second day, your first week, you're just joining us this year, let us know. We welcome you. And thank you so much. Come back, and I encourage you to reach out to Brother Kamau. If there's any further questions, you can sign up for a consultation with him and continue this conversation. Okay, here, family, Aftershock. Aftershock is a resident documentary, and where we had a video team followed Shawnee and a couple other families to get this story. It's a very powerful movie, powerful documentary. You have another chance to check it out today, January 30th. You can check it out. You can get tickets. Follow that link, festival.sundance.org/tickets, and you'll have a window to watch this powerful movie. And I suggest we have a discussion about this at some point in our presentations. Very powerful. I'd love to hear what you think. And our schedule, family, you can find us here 5 days a week. Sundays through Thursdays. And Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, we are on from 7 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. We may extend that a little bit just for closure and completion of whatever the subject may be, like today. And on Monday and Wednesdays, we have scheduled 30-minute sessions from 7 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. We're always streaming live on Facebook. And if you don't want to miss a session, you can get your Woo alerts. Text the number 74121 at text Woo Nation to that number. Again, it's 74121. Keep up with the presentations we have coming. And for our Woo Swag store, here you can find all of the items we have to offer and always adding more. Mugs, t-shirts, and quite a few items there now. So we'd love for you to check it out. Let us know and come and share, show and tell what you have to represent that you are a member of this amazing community. Check us out at our new Woo Swag store. And that's bit.ly/Woo Swag. And again, we thank you for joining us. We invite you to stay in touch, and here are a few other ways you can do so. You can register at bit.ly/Wake Up Movement. And you can join us again in Facebook, where we stream live to a private and public group. The private group is bit.ly/Woo Community, and our public group is bit.ly/Woo Nation. Our Instagram is at Wake Up Everybody Virtual, and on YouTube, bit.ly/Woo on YouTube. And you can email us directly. And if you'd like to do that, you can do that. So do so at info.wakeupseries@gmail.com. At this time, family, I'm going to take the slide share down, and we're going to invite you to bless our brother Kamau Ptah with a love shower. This is where you thank him and show your gratitude, your additional gratitude for the powerful presentation.
We love you, Kamau.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Kamau.
Yes.
As usual, enlightening,
Bless you. Thank you so much.
uplifting, and you gave us a lot to think about and a lot to chew on. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kamau.
Have a great day, everybody.
Wake up.
Sharing
this wisdom. Thank you for being such a healing family. You are so healing. Thank you.
Be healed.
Thank you for your patience. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with
Beautiful
us.
blessings to everyone.
To connect with you sometime in the future.
It was truly enlightening. Truly enlightening.
You have a great day. Thank you for being here with us. Amazing, amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing family.
Good community.
Please come back. Please do too.
I'm waiting for part 2.
At the forefront. Yes.
Right.
Please come back.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is awesome. Thank you, family. All the new
love
members that came, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all.
Love on the brother.
Welcome. We love y'all.